Welcome everyone to my Twitch stream on leechess.org. International Master William Paschall here. We are playing as Sparkle Horse on Leechess. Our handle on Twitch is Slaggy. What's up everybody? It's Thursday. For some reason every time I try to open Twitch it's very often kind of difficult to get the site to load, but after a couple minutes it starts to work. Noticed a lot of people seem to have that problem. Alright guys, let's get to work. Shah and Shah. The Saddest Troll, those guys are usually our first opponents here. Theoretical Battle is a new account. That's a correspondence game I have. Alright. So I don't know, do you guys play correspondence chess here? I never played correspondence chess. I wish I had started before the dawn of computers. That would have been really cool. The Booker Smith, welcome. You were here yesterday. Played our first game against Booker Smith. Gladys Troll. Good morning, guys, or afternoon. If you're in Australia, good evening. Or otherwise in Asia somewhere. Just mentioning, this is actually a good time. I used to play poker, and playing poker full time, it's funny. I mean, I would play a lot of Australian players in the morning like this, so it makes sense. You guys have evening there. Alright, let's get started. We're gonna start with, I really want to start with Troll, but I have Shah and Shah here first. So he's technically first. I usually like to start with Saddest Troll, but it's not fair to skip Shah and Shah every time, so we like the slower pace. Shah and Shah gives us the faster game. Usually e4. And I'm just trying to wake up, so I should play something different here. Alright. We're going to play the Sicilian. Earlier this week I had another game against Shah Shah, which was a very interesting line. In a rouser, he played an unusual move against me. Bishop e7 rouser. I know it sounds like alien to anybody here who doesn't know a lot of opening theory, but we've got to keep him on his feet. Let's play g6. It's becoming more and more important, people, to be unpredictable in the opening. It didn't really used to be as necessary as it is now. Wow, he just acted like he's prepared for this. Alright. Knight takes f6. Interesting. So I don't recall what we played in this line before, but it's funny that Shah and Shah is playing this variation that I analyzed on my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube, because I don't recall having a game with him in this line. Maybe he watched my videos. It almost seems like too much of a coincidence that he would happen to choose this variation. Maybe I'm just forgetting we had some game in this variation already. White has a bunch of choices here. Queen e4. No mods in the chat. We don't know. Are you sure Saronche isn't here? Did you check already? Calidus. So years ago, about I don't know, 17 years ago, I had a blitz game with Aronian. I remember, or I played this as the old recommended move, knight b4. It used to be fun to play that, but it's not that clear that that's the best move. So I think I've tried both knight c7 and knight b6 in this position. I did get surprised by queen b3, and that's another move that I talk about in my video series. Just 3 videos on my YouTube channel. It's not in that much detail, but I go into some kind of original variations against queen b3. Queen e4 is more like the main line, and I'm thinking knight b6 here is a move I played against a Hungarian guy in a team championship. E6 is always possible, not a favorite move of mine. And knight c7 is probably the main line. Yeah, this is the main line. I've actually played white one game in this position, now that I think about it. You played bishop to b5 yesterday, but it was... Yeah, it was the same line. You played bishop to b5. That's a new move. I mean, it might have been played like in some random game in history, but not really good until there's some reason to do it, like I put the knight on c6 and you can trade it there or something. So it's kind of just hanging out in the air on b5. And lets me play a6 for free. So bishop b5 is sometimes a very good move. In this particular setup after g6, it's not really effective. A little bit later you could do it. Actually, there's an interesting way to employ bishop b5 here. After queen takes d4, knight f6, instead of e5, white can play bishop b5. This was a very popular move for a while. And it's still played, but it looks like black gets enough compensation after a6. I had some really, really interesting games many years ago, like 15 years ago, when this was very trendy. With a6, e5, a takes b, e takes f6. I had some very crazy games in that. So that's a different variation, much more sharp. Knight c7 is the main move. It takes me a while to wake up and realize where I am, and the other thing is these variations all kind of look very similar. Sometimes I get confused between different variations that just kind of look quite similar. This position I played with white, ironically, against Boros Danish, a Hungarian GM who, I don't know where he is now. He went to the United States to study there, I think, but maybe he stayed there, maybe came back to Hungary. I don't know what he's doing, but I remember a game where I was white against him, and he played like b6, I think. This is a normal idea, b6, with the idea of fianchettoing and hitting the queen on e4. And I think that b5 is even a move. I'm not sure if you can do it right away as a pawn sacrifice, but it occurred to me that this is actually pretty common pawn sacrifice I've seen. I also had a really, really crazy game against a French player who's probably a GM by now, this guy Matthew Cornet, where I managed to bail myself out of a lot of trouble with a rook sacrifice on b2 or something like that. I think it was this kind of line, but I'm not 100% sure. Alright. I've played with white, maybe never played this line, I guess. Taking my time to figure out what's going on here. I mean, bishop g7 seems like the kind of move that's indispensable. I guess you can do b6 right away, though. I'm not sure which is better, but I really want to have the ability to castle kingside. It's hard, though, when you don't play a variation very often, to remember the theory, and there's so many different variations in this opening that are kind of reminiscent of one another. Now Shansha played h4. Which is pretty aggressive, obviously, and looks somewhat threatening, so I'm going to go with my natural instincts and play h6. h4 is pretty early. My memory is hazy. I also have some recollection of other games that other players played that I just watched. For some reason, Julio Becerra comes to mind. Watching him play with white against like Shabalov or somebody one game, it's problematic when your memory doesn't work perfectly. You just sort of, you have vague memories that aren't really that clear. I don't know if that game is reliable, but I think I remember Shabalov playing black against Becerra once, maybe losing very badly. I don't know if it was in a U.S. championship or something. Shabalov wouldn't normally play this opening with black, but he does occasionally play some different stuff. Bishop c4 now. That's more common probably, like in the move before, to play bishop c4 straight away. And I can always play knight e6 if I have to, defend myself that way. But I'm thinking queenside here, b6 or b5. And also I can interfere with the threats against f7 with knight e6. And I know knight a5 is an idea for black as well. I think I should just play b6. I mean, this feels most logical. Booker Smith says, I've heard that why some people don't like Carlsen because he'll play weird openings that GMs haven't prepared for. They're preparing for more usual stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a huge Carlsen fan because I don't know why. Maybe he's I don't think he's that exciting of a style, player stylistically, but it's kind of a personal thing, I think of Carlsen as a very practical player. Your last comment? We played this line and you made a video on our game in March or April. Wow. You were the guy I played. Wow, this is a disturbing turn of events here. I can win a piece. I can win a piece in this position, it looks like, but the risks involved look considerable. Bishop takes c3 check. B takes c, d5. That's crazy. I bet you didn't think about that. Bishop takes c3, b takes c3, d5. Pawn takes pawn check. King f8. Alright, let's try. I mean, this totally... Actually, it doesn't win a pawn. It does win a pawn. A piece. Right, it does win a piece. Sorry. Alright, so it looks like white has some compensation. But for entertainment value, I feel like I have to go with this variation. I mean, this is absolutely bizarre. Just not something that you like expect, Bishop takes c3 check and d5. Optically bizarre. Oh, so you've got that threat. I didn't see that you take on g6 with h6 attacked. Maybe this is just losing for me. Yeah, this is probably like getting mated. Takes, bishop takes h6, take, knight g5 check, king e8. It should be, it's not mate right away. Yeah, it is probably. Yeah, probably just lost. Oh well. Yeah, it makes sense. h6 is weak. So, I need to find some kind of defensive move here, but I just lost 2 pawns if I don't take the piece, so, alright. It looks lost. Good game. expert. So, Saddest Troll. Yeah, I don't recall that that was you that I played that game against, Sean Shaw. Too many games to remember now. But I didn't really calculate correctly. Bishop takes c3. I didn't see bishop takes h6 after queen takes g6. I thought I'm winning a piece. Oh well. That's what happens when I play a sharp player in the first game. Unfortunately. Not really good to play you in the first game. Too much calculation. Not really awake. c6 is attack too. Yeah, it's not good. No, it was total miscalculation. Okay, so bishop takes c3 doesn't work. I felt kind of desperate there. I don't know what black can play in that position. We'll concentrate on the game at hand here, but what just happened? Oh, I had the bizarre hallucination it was the original starting position, but the rooks, of course, are switched. Okay. For a second, I thought it was back to the starting position. No knight on c6. Alright, there's no knight on c6. That means I can't block checks on b5, like we talked about earlier. White's threatening to get a very strong center here, and it's difficult for me to really strike back. Maybe d5 drops a pawn to queen a4 check. It's another problem. I had a very funny game yesterday against a guy where I thought I dropped a piece with check on a4, but it turns out it didn't work. I'll show you guys that later if I can. Shanshaw says, I thought I was winning after e6, but Miss Bishop takes c3 with d5. My luck. What do you mean? You were winning, right? After e6. But weren't you winning? Isn't that the point? I don't understand. Like e6, I can't take. I don't really know what I did wrong, honestly. I mean, it seemed like black made logical moves, but I'm just lost or something. It's pretty bizarre. But I guess Shanshaw will tell us what we did wrong. D5, queen a4 check, maybe e6. I'm always going to have this problem anytime I try to play d5. So chess 960. We're playing up to 2 games of chess 960. I don't like to do more than that. No opening theory here. That's probably to my advantage. The last game, it looks like opening theory is not helping me too much. There's no good way for black to, it seems like there's no good way for black to influence the center here. I don't really understand what I'm supposed to do. Queen a5, knight b3, queen takes a2, rook a1, traps my queen. The good old ambulance sound in the background, I love it. Everywhere I live in Budapest, there's always a million ambulances. You also miscalculated and thought that after d5 you were winning a piece. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't see queen takes g6. Attacks everything. But it's not good for you to challenge me to the first game of the stream in the morning. I mean, if it was in the evening, it would be another thing. I need to wake up before I play a really sharp position, man. I mean, it's not really the best. Alright. d6, knight g6. None of these moves looks very good, to be honest. Oh, man. Alright, I guess we just have to like let white have the center and try to develop the pieces. There's just no way I'm going to really stop him from... My first move is a mistake, I guess. This is really going to be the conclusion of this meandering sort of conversation I'm having here. It's like my first move is fundamentally wrong. This hyper-modern type of approach with the pieces scrambled as they are is favorable for white. So now we have to let white have a central advantage. B6 or E6. I don't like this game at all for black. Once again, I can play take, queen A5, check, and then get my queen trapped on A1. It looks like in some lines. Not good to be greedy materialistically. I mean, CD, queen A5 check, bishop D2, queen takes A2, and then there actually he can't trap my queen right away, but it looks kind of risky to say the least. I have no development. Not something I wanna try. Play E6. Smith says he may have by accident issued 2 challenges. Well, I don't think you can issue 2 challenges at the same time. Don't worry about it. Theoretical Battle is not a player I really know anything about. Guys, challenge me to at least like 3 seconds of increment. Theoretical Battle, no rated games. You should challenge me to 8-3, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, last game, I don't know. I mean, it looks like all of black's moves were normal until he played E6. And then, normally that kind of thing doesn't work, but every capture on DE6 is bad. And I don't have a single move I can think of. It just wins by force. No, I have F5. That's what I have to play. It's the only move. Which was my continuation if I didn't see this stupid idea of bishop takes C3 check, but white looks better. Okay, so F5, pawn takes D7 check, and something like queen takes D7 check, when position looks a little better for white, because black's a little overextended. Knight G3. Yeah, I was thinking about F4, but it's probably not good because of queen H4 check. An unusual situation with the rooks gives me the possibility of taking that pawn as well. Well, even that looks kind of bizarre. I mean, after like F4, queen H4 check, G3, queen takes H2, rook G2. My queen is almost like trapped, isn't it? It's actually trapped. No, there's a square on H3. I have to put the queen. That's a really bizarre position. So we're going to lose on time to Saddest Troll. No, I seriously need some time to wake up. Alright. Knight B6, maybe? I love these knights, man. Please don't put the knights in the corner anymore. I don't want to play this version of chess with the knights in the corner. This is like my ultimate nightmare. The worst possible square for the knight, literally, is in the corner, and it's very, very hard to get the knight back in the game. And I have a huge strategic problem with playing positions. I don't like to play positions where my knight's on the quote-unquote knight 3 square. E6 was not the best move, according to Shansha. But because I have only move F5, I mean, that's... looks pretty unpleasant for black. Saddest Troll, is it just me or are you getting faster? Are you intentionally playing faster? I'm getting slower. D5 now. Alright, let's get some center. Let's get some center going. It's looking like a really bizarre French defense. Please talk more. Well, Shansha, don't keep us in the dark, man. I mean, you know, if you're gonna say these mysterious things, what is the best move if e6 is not the best move? Like, everybody's an expert once they consult Stockfish or whatever computer program they have. I mean, that's one thing that I don't like too, is a lot of even masters, they'll make videos and commentate where all they do is like say what the computer says, what the computer says, what the computer says, you know, and it's not good. I mean, you need to think for yourself and not to rely too much on the computer. So really like to talk more status troll, but we're already down 5 minutes to 1. Those 3-second increments are just enough for me to rebuild my time, or at least not rebuild it, but to make sure it doesn't disappear. Any predictions for today's round in Baku? I don't know, man. No predictions. Difficult to predict. It all seems pretty random to me. You know, I wouldn't have put Netherlands on first board at round 6, you know. So I don't think my predictions are gonna really matter. It seems very random. Not to take anything away from the Netherlands, but you know, I don't think that, you know, I would have expected them to be on board 1 on the 6th round pairing. A lot of teams underperforming, like the USA. I mean, I didn't mention this last time, but they drew a match against what was it? They drew a match with a team 4 draws, which was like hugely disappointing. I didn't talk about that, but I mean, that's the kind of thing that you just, you know, with a monster team like the United States has, they can't afford to just like give away 4 draws in one match. Alright, I don't know about this position, but whatever. It looks slightly better for white structurally, I guess. He could give me an isolated pawn on d5. ed5, I guess I could take with a knight as well, so I don't have to accept the isolated pawn structure. United States, I don't know. I need to start taking ginkgo biloba because I'm really forgetting everything. I think they drew a match with some medium strength team. Russia's underperforming. Hungary, for example, lost to Latvia. France lost to Paraguay. Paraguay. I mean, there's a lot of... Okay, the Indian team is looking really strong. Kind of underrated. They're playing Netherlands on board 1. So I don't know what to say, Shansha, as far as predictions. It seems like there's a lot of surprising kind of results. Okay. Time to castle. This is probably a bad move. Maybe I should just take on d4 first. Alright guys, let's get it together because I'm a little bit sleepy today. Not sleepy, but yes, Serbia, right. Serbia. I can see like giving up a draw on like 2 boards, but to draw all 4 boards against Serbia, I mean, that's kind of pathetic, dude. I mean, their top board is even Ivanisevic, who's like 2650, and you can't even win a single game. Man. Who is the coach, John Donaldson or something again? He used to start kicking some ass over there. What are you going to do, like, if you're the coach of these, the quote-unquote coach of the United States team, with, like, these egos like Nakamura? I mean, there's no way you'd be able to, like, tell them anything. You know, they wouldn't care what you say. It must be a nightmare trying to be some kind of coach for a team like that. Alright, but anyway, somebody needs to tell them to get their team in gear. Netherlands haven't played any of the big teams. India, only Azerbaijan. India has a very young team. And these guys are dangerous. I mean, it's like Sasha Kiran. Wait, I don't know if Sasha Kiran's playing. I didn't see his name. But Hari Krishna, I meant to say, is board 1. It's a little weird if Sasha Kiran wasn't on the team. He's been like the top 2 forever, other than Anand. But I didn't see his name in the early matches, although I might have missed him. But India never has Anand. I mean, he doesn't usually play, does he? But they've got so many. How many strong players they have in India that are like 2,600 plus. So many now in recent times. Knight b5. Okay, no problem. Where are you going? Where are you going with knight b5? I just have to make a move every 3 seconds, no problem. Guys, I'm a little bit slow to wake up here. Sorry for that. We're gonna get it in gear, but thanks for joining me. On Sunday, I'm gonna be doing a simul every week on Lichess. It's 1800 hours or 6 p.m. Central European Summer Time. I can't say Central European Time because that confuses people when they do Google search for the time. So we've got to be more accurate and say Central European Central Time or Central European Summer Time. I just can't get used to it. I sound like such an idiot today. No moderators here? Oh yeah, guitar players here. Crazy. Alright, so that's why nobody's calling me an idiot in the stream. D takes e4. And our position is actually good. It's morphed into a c3 Sicilian. We've still got one knight on this bad square. Actually not such a bad square because we're heading for f4. And we finally consolidated. And the bishop is threatened. Relatively open position, so gain the advantage of the bishop pair would be a significant thing for black, I would think. Nice that I actually play someone who's slower than me. Sadistrol's just gonna lose on time. He did. 13 moves he lost on time. Local time here in Hungary. Yeah. It's good I live in a country where there's not more than one time zone. Local time here in Hungary. Sasha Kiran isn't playing. Yeah, that kind of hurts. But it's probably... I mean, I'm just speculating, but you would think it's probably about money. You know, I don't think that the Indian Chess Federation, or whatever they call it, is kind of like the Hungarian one. I mean, it's probably that, you know, Indian players rely on private sponsors more than, like, you know, their chess federation to support them. So I think that in a lot of cases, companies may support them too. I have seen Indian players with, like, little... you know, maybe patches that say, like, from some company to help support them. I mean, but in general, I would think it's probably about money. You don't know with one individual player, it may be just a personal thing, like why Leiko's not playing. But one player for a team like that, Hungary, or, you know, it's not like any team actually can't afford to not have one of their best players. But the smaller the country, or smaller chess-wise, they can't really replace them easily. You can't really replace a 2,700 player that easily. Hungary already feeling the loss of Leiko with the unstable Richard Rapport just losing 2 games already. They've lost 2 matches already. This team that has won medals in other Olympiads, Hungary, has lost 2 matches out of 5. They lost to Azerbaijan, I guess, 3-1. Anna Rudolph. You're supposed to be on chess 24. You're in the wrong place. Anna Rudolph is a Hungarian girl player who's been discussed here in the stream before because of an incident with our old friend Olegas, but she's a pretty chess player from Hungary who who as far as I know is doing a lot of videos and stuff with Jan Gustafsson and Chess24. Knight c6. I think that's probably Maurice Ashley posing as Anna Rudolph. It seems India is specifically fielding a young team. Well, yeah, I mean, they've got a lot of really strong young players. There was a whole bunch of Indians at the tournament I played in Zalakaros in June. They came as a big group, and they often travel in groups to save money, I guess. And this particular group that came to the tournament here in Hungary was extremely young and extremely strong. A3, bishop takes c3 check, queen e7. I've been playing a5 a lot lately, and it's kind of early to play it on that move. I think it's best to wait a move or two to play a5. I actually looked at this position in the Chess Opening Explorer the other day, early this week or the end of last week. And I noticed that white probably has 4 or 5 moves in this position. This one is the most common. b4 is interesting, for example. I'm not sure if a3 is best to play it right away or to play bishop d2 instead, honestly. Speaking of Indian players, the position on the board as you see it now is a game I think I lost with white against Humpy Kanuru in a first Saturday GM tournament about 8 or so years ago. Would have been about maybe more. Maybe 9 years ago. Bishop e2. Oftentimes white exchanges on e5. Humpy is probably playing for the Indian women's team. I don't know. Does she play for the Indian women's team? I would imagine she would. Bishop to e2. A lot of strong women players. I love this. I love you, Maurice Ashley. Very funny. Maybe Maurice Ashley and Jennifer Shahadi and Anna Rudolph are all really the same person. Has that occurred to anyone? The chess commentator meme. Castles. Bishop g4. Humpy isn't playing either. Harika is top board. Yeah, Harika was here. She had a solid result. She's a men's GM. I don't know if I had ever met her before Zalakaros. I didn't really meet her, but you were like playing in the same room with people and like smiling at them and making eye contact. You feel like you met them, you know. Bishop g4. All right. White playing pretty quietly here. Generally speaking, white tries to like exchange on e5 earlier and usually maybe ideally put the bishop on a long diagonal and try to get some kind of profit out of that extra bishop, if you will. We have to start calculating now. I mean, e4. White would actually have 2 moves if e4. Knight d4 is unclear, and pawn takes c6 is unclear. You can't recognize the faces. The real Maurice Ashley. Who is Maurice Ashley? Anna Rudolph is asking who is Maurice Ashley. He's like your idol. Chess commentator extraordinaire. Queen c2 and a5. Chess bunny ears. You talking to me or Anna Rudolph? I think it would work better for her. b3 is a good move. Yeah, I never really considered the bunny ear thing. It just would cramp my image too much. Just can't sacrifice that. So, but I could see it working for a girl. Do I really want to put my knight on a6? Where else? I mean, d7. A little bit less on the side of the board from d7. This kind of position, I think I could exchange bishop for knight again and have like two knights against two bishops in a closed position. White, for his part, would like to actually put the knight on d2, I think. But the problem is the bishop on e2 is not protected, so it's difficult for white to set up as well. Knight on d2 would help to control e4 and get out of the way of the f-pawn in case he wants to move that later. If no one, no one can make fun of my hair, lack of it. I mean, most guys are usually like, you know, if they're usually bald by the time they're my age, so I feel kind of good that I'm not, you know, a bald middle-aged guy. But yeah, I do have hair problems. My big frustrations. Theoretical... What? Theoretical bat. It says theoretical bat, so it just cuts his name off in the chat. It's funny, I was like freaked out by that. Theoretical bat, nice to meet you, my friend. Recommended about your stream. I need a second coffee, but if I drink a second coffee, then I'll be all kinds of hyper. I don't like to support Starbucks because it's like this big, monstrous sort of corporation. But maybe I'll have to start going to Starbucks, getting one of those huge coffees. I've never been to the Hungarian Starbucks, honestly. It just, I don't know. Seems kind of weird. You're in Eastern Europe and they have a lot of good espresso coffee. Feels very weird, like a tourist, to go to Starbucks for coffee. White's playing well though, and positionally the opening is a little slow, but he's white and he can do what he wants, you know. Maybe knight e4. Knight e4, h3, bishop h5. You could take. And then g4. Bishop g6, knight h4. That variation is a little disturbing to me. I don't think I like that. Let's do this. Can we do this? Bishop h5 right away? Man, I'm losing my mind. Alright. My knight is hanging. God. I start to get distracted and I'm thinking about crazy stuff. Just leaving my knight on prise here. Yeah, he's got knight h4. e4, changing the structure altogether now. Bishop h5. No, bishop h5, then bishop g5. That's the plan, I guess. He wants to go here. I feel like I'm I'm in my element now. When I retreat all my pieces to the back rank, then you have to be careful. White's slightly better, guys. I mean, this is sort of normal kind of position. Both sides have their respective breaks they're playing for. Booker Smith, no, but I would like to... Oh, man. Alright, dude. The chat moderators are going to have to be very watchful here. Be on your lookout. Another Anna Rudolph fan. Alright. Bishop g5. Just doing it anyway. Interesting. This could get you in trouble. What if we just call your bluff? Yeah, this guy is questionable. F5. Thanks for the link to my channel. Under the stream, I could see your info. I could challenge you to a game. Is that still possible, Ran? Yeah, absolutely. We've got time. We've got an hour and a half. Man, White keeps coming up with these moves to keep this position kind of going for himself. I'm gonna give you a pawn, man, because I like you, theoretical battle. Yeah, I don't know if this is good. I don't know if this is even good for me, to be honest. But it seems like it's probably okay. This bishop remains a bad piece. There's really no time to calculate all the candidate moves. That's the problem here. We're down to like 2 minutes. I definitely missed knight takes g5 there. I'm not even sure it was necessarily the only move. Maybe knight d2. Knight d2 instead of trying to take the pawn would have been interesting. Because I thought ultimately White has this plan of like knight f1, knight e3, and knight f5, and if you can get that in somehow, I could be strategically like bankrupt. Queen d2. This is a heads-up move. I mean, I don't think he really had better in this position. obviously, structure-wise, he's worse, but I think white has, although the bad bishop and bad structure, yeah, some control of like f5. That's very problematic for me. So he's hanging in there. h6 is kind of weakening. I'm going to have to do something, though. Have to get him off. Get him away from my position somehow. Stop bothering me. And it seems like it should be okay, though. Somehow. Scaring the crap out of me here. I don't know. Oh, just got mated. Good game. Good blitz player, huh? I think black was okay. I think somewhere around here black was okay, actually, but... Alright, good game, man. Didn't really know what to expect. I thought you were just going to roll over and die there. Lost a queen. Good. Alright, so we lost 2 today. Good job. Nova Druid. Well, that degenerated into like a bullet game. Well, I don't really consider it getting wrecked when you just lose in bullet chess. But what you try to aim for is quality. So, you know, what happens once everybody gets down to 2 seconds per move doesn't really matter to me. That seems like what's happening, though, a lot lately. But I'm really, really tired of people having like 1,500 ratings. It's everybody have like multiple accounts, I guess. I don't know. Knight d5, very uncommon. What's up with that? What happens after e6? Everything takes on f6, takes on d6, takes on b2, takes on d7, takes on e2, takes on b7. What is this? This is ridiculous. Like, it looks like a draw. Why not play without the increment? You're actually genuinely curious? Because we're not results oriented. We just want to try to like actually learn something here. I can play 5-0 as well as like a lot of GMs, but I don't really want to just sit here, you know, trying to win on time every game. I don't think that we have too much to learn from that. I mean, for entertainment value, maybe, but that's not the point of my stream. I don't really have, like, you know, one mode. I have, like, 2 modes where I'm, like, trying to teach people, and another mode where I can play on my own, where I'm just focusing on, like, winning and it's a non-increment, usually blitz. But then I'm like fully in that zone where I'm just trying to win, and trying to win on time or whatever. But like the real blitz style play isn't something I'm trying to do on the stream here. So I'm trying to explain my ideas and stuff. Bishop b6. That's an interesting move. Another winning move. Oh, this is rated. Oh, rated. Yesterday was unrated. This is rated. I understand. Okay. Nice. Now I lose the exchange. Oh, man. Didn't see this at all. Yeah, I didn't see the rated alert. Yeah, knight d5 is just lame. Should just take, and it's like a draw. Nobody plays that move. But I thought I could try something more dynamic and play e6. Honestly, I saw knight b6, but I didn't think it was a big deal. But even that might be good for white. Knight b6. This is actually good for white too. Well, I can play rook b8 in that position. It's probably not great for black. So now we have to lose the exchange or sack a queen, but I don't see how I can sack a queen realistically. I just feel like I keep playing the same players with new accounts or something. Nova Druid we played yesterday. He played the opening perfectly, but then made some mistakes. Maybe that was rated yesterday too, come to think of it. But it was blitz instead of classical. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention when you guys said it was rated. I lose the exchange. Looks like rook c8. I lose the exchange for nothing here. And the pawn on d6. Now, the last game, I mean, he didn't play that well, honestly. I just like lost on time. I wouldn't call him a positional player. I think he just played a normal game, and he didn't even play it that well. So I had a lot of chances last game, but I only lost because of the time at the end. At the end he was better, but I had a million chances. No, that game, I don't think that white played that precisely, to be honest. I'm just a little bit off today. Though everybody I play seems like they're a candidate master. Alright. Just insta move. I don't want to really trade any more pieces at this point, since I'm down material. Normally I would want to trade dark squared bishops. D6 may have been, yeah, it may have been too dangerous to take that. That was very risky. I was kind of hoping he would. Black has rook c6. I guess he saw that. I guess it just wins material. Queen d4, knight d5. There's really not that much black can do in this kind of position. I'm just down the exchange for absolutely nothing. I don't have any kind of compensation. So we just try to avoid exchanges and create some kind of complications. I mean, there's zero compensation for black in this position. Maybe negative compensation because my knight is kind of passive on e8 and difficult to get into the game. He has compensation for my material. Yeah, many games I've saved down the exchange. Of course. Or even won. Nova Druid plays super fast. Yesterday he challenged me to 5-3 and now it's 8-3 today. But I won easily yesterday. So I didn't really take him seriously enough, I guess. But it wasn't so much about that. I mean, I just honestly was surprised by knight d5 because nobody really plays that move. It's just not a dangerous move. I mean, this is a bad move for white that he played. I mean, this move just trades pieces and gives black equality. I mean, why would you want to do that? And it just didn't occur to me that I have to just trade and go into the ending. It's just dead equal. You know, I'm not used to playing against this move. I mean, it's just not a good move for white. So I was like thinking about like something to keep the tension and just allow them to play knight b6. Just a blunder. Sometimes the bad moves are the ones that trip you up. Because they're, you know, they're not expected and you're not used to it. Well, I don't think it's about, yeah, I mean, it's not about being a dirty thing to play for a draw. It's just that it's just a bad thing to do. I mean, why would you want to? You know? You should play for a win. I mean, no matter who you are. But if they play for a draw, they play for a draw. I'm not going to get angry about it. I mean, like this idiot grandmaster I played in Zalakarosh who told me that I played for a draw. Absolutely did not. But if I did, what I would be like, what Bronstein played for draws all the time. He was one of the greatest players in history. It's a completely normal thing to do. Like, if you're playing another good player, to try to make a draw with black is a normal result. So, f4. All right, let's try to fix the pawn structure, I guess. Isolate this pawn. Isolate the pawn at e4. No, I don't have any problem with white playing for a draw, but it wouldn't be my choice. The problem is when you're not used to a certain move, you don't really know how to react. I've played this variation like literally like hundreds and hundreds of times, but not my normal routine to see white play knight to d5 so early. No, I just try to play correctly. I don't really want to weaken my structure anymore with f6. I could play f6. Maybe we should have to eventually. Would have been better to do it just right away, but white doesn't have any real plan. They seem to be just kind of shuffling the pieces quickly. Nova Druid has only 100 games, but it's... I don't think so. I mean, I think this is an alt account. Somebody playing pretty quickly. We actually have some compensation. I just didn't really want a bishop g4. I didn't want to do this, but I think I'm going to have to keep this here to keep d7 protected. Maybe go to f7. So I'm taking the focus off of that. White playing for time almost completely here, just quickly. This. I'm going to try to create as much chaos as possible. This passed pawn on d4 is is pretty legitimate. Now we have pretty serious compensation. I guess it's not enough. White is like a blitz expert, but he's not even trying to really make the best moves, just very quickly. Time. Everything about time here. Ooh, this is a really nasty move. I guess that is the best move. Impressive. C5. Let's see. Just blundered an exchange here. Black got a lot of compensation toward the end, but was never enough. I don't think White ever let the game slip out of his grasp. Let the advantage go down a little bit, but this was, he was up about 2 pawns and let it go down to like 1 pawn. I was never really, just looked like I had a glimmer of hope. Yeah. Booker Smith, good luck. Your technique was not the best, but was never out of control. Obviously, you're like a bullet player by the speed at which you play. Booker Smith, where are you? Okay. Alright, why is this guy, like, not banned? Stop playing rated games. You're probably right. We'll just stop the rated games during the stream because people are kind of targeting my rating. I'm at a disadvantage trying to commentate and play at the same time, so we'll probably just stop rated games. It's probably the best idea. No, I lost again. I don't think I ever lost like 3 games so close together on the stream before. Yeah, but it just feels like people are hunting for my rating points while I'm trying to teach. Not the best forum for me. I mean, not only can people like listen to my ideas, but it's just, like I said, I'm not trying to play competitive blitz. So it's not easy to try to do two things at once. Booker Smith dropped this piece. You gotta pay attention. Well, I mean, I'm at a constant disadvantage trying to talk and discuss the game. So it seems weird to... It does seem weird to play a rated game when you think about it. It's a lot harder than you think. I mean, when you're playing blitz and you just can fully concentrate on your own focus on the game, but when you're trying to explain the game to other people, it's not the same as when you're trying to blitz in your own normal way. Yeah, I think we'll definitely cut out the rated games. Nobody that I played today was using chess assistance of any kind. I think I just played badly. I mean, maybe I'm not that sharp today. But I mean, I wouldn't be suspicious of any of my opponents that were like using an engine or something. It's just a matter of blunders. If you had unlimited time, no, I'm just, my concentration not the best. And overlooked knight b6, but he made a lot of bad moves to try to keep his lead on the clock, it seemed like. So I'm just guessing that it's a guy who plays a lot of bullet and very fast time controls, because to give up the dark square bishop, at the end he was winning anyway, but it seemed like he gave black a lot of hope in that game. It should have been pretty much a done deal when I lost the exchange. But I don't really like when the game is about time. And he had more time. You should really use your time and try to find, you know, the best moves. White almost let me off the hook there. I made a terrible decision to let him exchange on e5, the queens. I should have exchanged on f4, probably, but still I'm clearly worse. Even in the best case scenario. Well, by playing rated games, I mean, first of all, I make myself a target for people who are cheating, which doesn't happen that often, but there are occasionally those games. And other kind of fraudulent activity, like multiple players playing on the same account and stuff. But I think that I'm just at a disadvantage. And I'm going to lose rating points overall by trying to multitask, basically. If you're going to play competitively, or if you're going to like try to teach and play, they're kind of two different things. So unfortunately, people put a lot of importance on what your rating is, and repeatedly I've said here on the stream that I don't really put a lot of importance on the rating. But I mean, I put some importance on it. I don't want to look like an idiot, you know, and be like 2300. So we have to probably make a policy of no rated games while I'm commentating and focusing on streaming. Especially with new accounts. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, I don't really like the way the rating system works either. I mean, with these accounts that are provisional, it's not really clear how many rating points you should really gain or lose. I'm not sure if I should lose 30 points to a player who has like an unestablished rating. But I mean, okay, this Glicko system is kind of debatable. I'm not a big expert on rating systems. But I know that I'm better than 23.99. Not playing like it today, though. And, yeah, Booker Smith made 2 blunders. Outright blunders. Maybe he's just a little nervous or something. I mean, the last move, Bishop G4, could be a mouse slip, too, but I'm clearly attacking the knight, and he played Queen B6, so I don't know. Maybe he meant to, like, reach out and grab the knight and move the queen instead. So 8-3. Guitar player. Who said that? Andrea Perrone. Okay. Yeah, we have time for these games. Guitar player, Newman, Geese, Mood Dude. I thought that said Nude Dude. And Andrea Perrone. So we have a record-setting number of losses today. It's funny how I always lose the rated games, though. If I play 11 games on the stream and 1 game is rated, I always lose the rated game. Even Geese can attest to that. Had a funny game with him earlier this week. Nothing to be nervous, man. It's easy to beat me. Yeah, I think I'm not gonna upload the stream to the YouTube channel. I don't know. I just outright blundered the exchange with Knight B6, or Bishop B6. But the other games I lost. Shanshai is very tough, and probably shouldn't play him till I'm warmed up. But the other one was just kind of in the time pressure. We can think of rational reasons for all the games I lost. I asked you about this last time you were in the stream. I did answer. Guitar player. I did answer. Very briefly, I thought. I mean, I think that it's fine. I don't know what to really say about it. I mean, I just kind of said, yeah, I know the Moscow checkover variation. But I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, it's a totally standard variation. It's very annoying for black players to play against it. It's pretty popular. I mean, Queen takes D4 is absolutely almost like a main line. I mean, there's no question that it's a very good line for white. Malamudut said slightly hungover, but I'd like a game. I feel like I'm hungover. Totally missed the knight take, yeah. I like what Bobby Richards said. He says, it's actually strange. I go for months or years without playing chess, but I come back and I'm still playing about the same strength. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? We have to ask. Queen D3. I don't normally play A6. I just know, I've seen a lot of people play it. I'm really bored with this variation very quickly. It's a sort of annoying line for black to face. It's easy to play for white, and it's hard to beat it. Sean, my question to you is like, how are you so alert so early in the morning? Um, I guess I should play bishop g4, get this bishop outside the pawn chain, try to trade it off, or just otherwise not block it in. I don't really know the theory here too well. I think I played this once 100 years ago, and white played bishop g5 against me, which seems to me like a very dynamic type of move. This might be the best try, but don't quote me on it because I'm not an expert on any openings, but especially not this variation with a6. I've played knight c6, but I wanted something more complicated. a6 avoids exchanges of pieces. Do you like allowing c4? Yeah, Rand, that's an interesting question. I think that it's up to the individual player, but I've played a lot of hedgehog type positions with black against the English anyway. So if you play the hedgehog type formation for black, then you're pretty much not uncomfortable with allowing a6 type c4 positions. But it's really a matter of style. I think it's a good way for black to play for a win. The positions after c4 in those kind of structures are very tense and complicated. If I was playing a strong player, I wouldn't mind knight c6, bishop b5. Not the guitar player isn't a strong player. He is relatively strong. But I'm talking about, like, you know, someone around my own rating or higher. I would be like less inclined to avoid exchanges of pieces. If I'm playing a lower rated player, like your guitar player is 300 points lower, I'm expected to win. So basically, I'm usually trying to keep the game as complicated as I can, and that means like not trading pieces and allowing, you know, myself to have like less space in the structure like c4. But that's also a good way to win. I think that the positions with c4, e4 with white in the Sicilian type structures are very hard for white to play. I would argue that they're harder for white to play than for black, because it's like a matter of containment. Black can kind of just shuffle the pieces around on the back rank or back three ranks, and for white you have to be very precise. I don't think for a guitar player this is necessarily. Actually, I don't know. I mean, he's not a crazy tactician, so maybe it's okay. But I kind of had the feeling he likes open positions more. So maybe not the best choice to play c4 for him. I feel like I'm playing the black side of the Smith-Morra here, but I'm not up a pawn. And white doesn't have an open c-file. This is totally okay for black. The trolls are keeping guitar player busy today. Is Jeroen here or not? He may be a little tired. Maybe he has a hangover from drinking too much palinka. Yeah, I usually lean toward taking on f3 in these kind of positions. It's kind of reminiscent of a Morra position, except there's a pawn on c2. The white squared bishop isn't that great for white, but white should still be about equal here. Yeah, that's exactly. The double pawns would look nice. I mean, most people wouldn't appreciate that, Ran, but These double pawns are actually quite good for black. Yeah, this is a little known fact amongst beginners that such double pawns are actually good for black. I definitely, would consider playing that move. If knight e5 right away, however, black has to worry about queen g3. In which case I'd have to find a very awkward move, like g6 or something. So I played bishop e7 first. Yeah, white's position is almost identical to this weird line of the Mora that I played. You want to time me out? Oh. Yeah, don't mess with guitar player. He's finding queen g3, the Mora Gambit idea. Yeah, you guys keep him busy in the stream there. I'm rooting against my own moderator. It's kind of weird to play against the moderator because, again, I'm not really results oriented, but I still want to win. I've lost enough today. Now knight e5 is finally looks good. He could have played bishop h6, honestly, and that would have forced me to play knight e8, which I think would have been better. It would have been, making me sort of have to reorganize my pieces. So I think that was a slight inaccuracy by guitar player to not play bishop h6. Nevertheless, his position is okay. I mean, a3 is kind of a harmless move, slightly weakening his position, but nothing major. My pieces were tied down. I don't really like having the rook on d8. Obviously, I would prefer to be on the c file. So I have to get reorganized here. But ultimately, I mean, a3 should be kind of creating a little bit of weakness on the queen side. Nevertheless, I think he's still about equal. Focus on the game and banning. The other problem is it's extremely, extremely hot here. It's like suffocatingly hot in my office. Maybe that's why I'm a little off today. Gotta think of more excuses. Queen b8. Queen b8. I've got to watch out. There's one bad thing that could really happen here. When he doubles on the file, so I have to play knight g6, I guess. Not wait too long to play that move. He would have a tactic like rook d1 and rook takes d6, followed by bishop takes e5 at some point. I didn't want the knight a4, knight b6 again. I've had enough of that for today, but it's kind of unclear here. This is a horrible move. Queen b7. Absolutely horrible move. Yeah, it's got to be about 100 degrees in my room. Not ideal playing conditions. The fan makes so much noise, and I have two problems. The fan makes a lot of noise, and the outside makes a lot of noise, so it's very hard to ventilate the room and do the stream. Yeah, we wasted a big tempo there. Look how well coordinated white is here. Bishops, rooks. I don't really like playing d5 in this kind of position. I had a weird hallucination. He could sack the rook on d6, but it's a little too well protected for that. Nevertheless, white's still very solid. September is a weird month. It can get so hot. Saddest troll, I don't know if he's still here. I still can't believe that Hungary is actually further south geographically than Boston. I mean, excuse me, further north geographically than Boston. It's so hot here. What am I going to do now? It's like forcing a draw. Well, that'll be like par for the course today. I'm not better. I mean, why should I win here? This forces a draw. Knight h4, at what point could I have played that? It's nothing to do. Alright, man. Yeah, Ran, I agree. Like, I have more, like, direct plan there, but, well, in this case, I had a concrete problem, but white has moves too, unfortunately. I like the minority attack for black too, but it's a question of time. I wasted a move or two there. And Ran is 2165 in classical, 23 games, so pretty new account. Grand Prix attack, kind of good to face this. We haven't seen this line on the stream. And this bishop b5, it's very, very popular. I used to work with Roman Gigiashvili for a time, many, many years ago, when he first started to do his videos and stuff like that. And I don't know if you guys know this stuff, but he cranked out a lot of this Roman's Lab videos or whatever, and this is one of the systems that he recommended with white. It became kind of popular with club players, and there's a variation here. Knight takes b5, knight takes b5, d5, pawn takes d5, a6, knight c3, knight f6, which Grandmaster Eugene Perelstein learned from Roman. He started playing it. I don't really think that's that great for black, so I'm going to play something kind of experimental here. Yeah. New York is the same latitude as Rome. Yeah, which is weird because it seems like the Mediterranean should be hotter than New York. You know, I don't know why. But it's just like it's hotter in Hungary than it is in Boston, without a doubt, you know. That's one of the reasons why I don't want to spend the summer here. It's brutally hot. So, but how can you explain to me that Budapest is further north? I mean, Boston is almost near Canada, so basically, somehow, Canada, which is a very cold country, is on the same latitude with Hungary. I don't understand how that's possible, but it's true. If you look at the map, I guess it's true. It's true. It's very strange. I had a completely different perception of geography of like Europe versus the Western Hemisphere. Computer said I made an inaccuracy. You made a mistake, simply not punishing me. You didn't play a losing move. Just not taking advantage. Right. I mean, I made the horrible move, Queen C7, toward the end, but need some air conditioning. Yeah, there's air conditioning downstairs and not upstairs. Yeah, I mean, I expect it to be super hot in July and August, but usually you would think by September it would cool down. Although, even in Boston when I lived there, you did have, like, sometimes the first week of September could be really brutal. I remember as a student, like, going to school in Boston, and there were 1 or 2 years when you moved into the dormitories in the first week of September. It was just brutally hot. It's kind of how it is here right now. At least that's how it feels. September is a tricky month in seasonal climates. So this was one line that Roman mentioned. I mean, I never really studied it, but knight h6 was one of the only kind of murky lines where black could... Okay, this might be some kind of established theory. We just take here. I can't just let him overrun me. If I'm not mistaken, I think that Gigi might have himself played this with black when faced with his own system. But I'm running on memories that are very, very old. If I do recall correctly, he might have played knight h6 himself. I'm not sure. Maybe not. But, I mean, the main variation, which I would normally employ here, would be this knight takes b5 and d5. As I said, it goes into an ending where black has to be accurate, not to be worse. Which is not really something that you want to do against a lower-rated player. Just caught up on your previous stream. Do you think I'm an alt account? I'm getting the impression that you still do well. I don't think you had too many games. You know, most accounts that are like 100 games seem kind of like, most likely are alt accounts. And most people who have like one account have thousands of games. I mean, it's possible you just joined Lichess. I didn't study it that deeply, but my opinion is not binding, of course, in any way, but it's just like kind of, that's normally what I see. You know, people who have like an account and they make more accounts, and you typically run into them when they have like 50, 100 games. If I see anybody with less than 100 games, I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is probably a guy who has more than one account. If they're a strong player, I mean, you know, if you're like 1200, maybe you just discovered Lichess or it's your first online, you know, chess site. But when I play someone who's like master strength and they've got just like 100 games, my thought is usually that it's a guy with more than one account. Wow, this is crazy. Queen h5, and he's going to try to take on h6. So it's like an exchange of pieces. It's kind of scary position for black now. You just play longer time controls, many casual games. That's possible too. Well, it wasn't intended as like a big insult or anything. I just mentioned it in passing. Alright, pawn takes c3. White miscalculated something. The Sicilian defense. This is lucky for me because, I mean, I didn't honestly plan it in advance. But the king on h1 is like a normal move in the Sicilian. He got punished here for that position of the king. I was a little nervous. I was walking into some kind of videotape trap there. I mean, even if I don't have queen b6, black's position is probably okay. Not great, but I could probably eke out an equal game somehow. But obviously this way I win a piece. So, admittedly I had a previous account a few years back, and I used to play every variant and time control on that. Well, we're not doing investigations into your account, so don't worry. I was actually investigating a live account. Yesterday I found, I'm not going to go into great details about it, but I was investigating someone for real. On another chess site, there is an IM who has always been suspicious to me as a weak player to be an IM. And this is a player who let's say I played on the same chess site for at least, I'm so sick of this knight a3 against the Sicilian, man. I've got to play something else. This guy I played since at least minimum 2001. Okay, so that's 15 years I have games dating back against this guy. And it has IM next to its name. I'm not going to reveal which chess site it is or their account name, but yesterday I was doing a lesson with one of my students, and I noticed that he played with this guy who I always thought was really weird. Like, he played very weakly, had a really low rating, but sometimes played really well. It was always a suspicious account for me, and I think I even might have reported it for suspected computer cheating at one point, but I can't remember that part completely. It's not really that important. The element of it being a possible cheater is another thing, but this particular player, I found out there had been it posted its name on its account, and when I looked it up, it was really like you couldn't find any games. It's supposed to be an IM, but there's like almost no games in the database. A person who almost doesn't exist. And bishop f4. So I just decided to kind of investigate a little bit. Who is this person? Just out of curiosity. And the mystery kind of deepened, because when I looked up their name, it turned out that there was an investigation into their IM title, which was, well, kind of like a funny coincidence, because I was just thinking the same thing, but there was even some speculation on the bulletin board about, you know, what the story was with it, and I got like more and more interested in it, and it's this deepening mystery. But I can't go into too much details because I don't want to let it out of the bag until I have some solid evidence. Bishop d3. Glad you played the Carol, because one of my toughest opponents at the club I just joined decided to play it. Yeah, queen a5 check and c3 is... I mean, usually black does this when white plays like h4. So I'm kind of borrowing an idea from a slightly different position. It's not a big deal, I guess. anyway, kind of wrap up the story about the bizarre IM. So it turns out that he got his title about 10 years ago based on 3 tournaments in one country in 3 months, making 3 norms in like 2 or 3 months or something, which is like pretty hard to believe. Okay, and previously he had been like 2100. So basically, this guy went to a country, bought 3 tournaments, and FIDE just let him get away with it. And his chess federation didn't know what to do. You know, they were like suspicious of him, but didn't really know what to do. FIDE said they didn't, know what to do. So nobody, like, he just keeps having the IM title, even though it's like obvious that he bought his tournaments. It's kind of disturbing. I mean, nobody really stopped him. So I'm not like on a witch hunt to persecute somebody for cheating, but at the same time, it's kind of an interesting mystery because the guy is like 80 years old, according to FIDE, and that's the weirdest part of the story, is that he apparently made his IM title at the age of like 70, with almost no games in the database, just suddenly made 3 IM norms, bang, 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 in a row, in one country, which is a dubious country as far as FIDE round-robin tournaments. And nobody did anything about it. It's like really upsetting. All right. You don't understand American language. He bought his title from Trump University. No, as an international master, I mean, I'm very disturbed by this, because I'm legit and I worked hard to get my title, and it's like I'm not surprised by FIDE because they're corrupt and they don't have any games from the games, the tournaments where he got these supposed IM norms. It's dating back to like 2005 or something. So nowadays they actually require all tournaments to submit the games that are played at the tournament. But I think back then, in the mid-2000s, when this dude did it, it wasn't necessarily a rule that the tournaments had to submit all the games or something, so it's in this gray area. But I'm really interested in the history of the guy, because it's obvious that he's like master strength, but not strong enough to be an IM, and he just like went on a holiday and bought his IM title in a foreign country. But I'm kind of curious if his age is real, like if he's really 80 years old now, and he was 70 when he got the IM title. Well, if he's 2200 or something, it seems to me by playing blitz with the guy, maybe he was a really strong player at one point, or at least a good player at one point. But his history is non-existent. When you look at the database and this guy's games, there's nothing there. There is almost no games before. And so it's almost like he changed his name or something. Some kind of mystery. It's just like a mystery story. So as I said, I'm not on a witch hunt about persecuting people, but it's an interesting mystery how this particular player, came into existence, and his own chess federation doesn't even know who he is. Like he's literally like maybe been to one tournament in his whole life, in the country he lives in. So there are these people at his chess federation that are like, who is this guy? We've never seen him before. How is he an IM? He lives in our country, but he's never played in like more than one tournament. It's really a bizarre mystery. I'll keep you guys updated if I keep investigating what happened, but pretty bizarre. Guys, we're going to be streaming for another 30 minutes, basically, so time for 3 more games. You used to have to play against people from different countries. You definitely have to play from different countries' players. I mean, no matter what the rules are, it's always going to require international international opponents. So that's not going to change, hopefully. It would get kind of ridiculous if it did. The only major change is the fact that you used to have to play in a round-robin tournament. And this guy actually did that. He did this back when it was required. When it was still a requirement to play in round-robin tournaments, he played in 3 round-robin tournaments and had like an incredible result in all 3, and the only 3 he played in. It's like, I mean, anybody could see that it was like rigged, you know. I mean, you wouldn't have to be looking too hard at the evidence to just see it, but it got through the auspices of the Fédération Internationale de Schach, and that's it. It's like dead. But some few years after he got the title, his own chess federation started kind of investigating it. But nowadays you don't need to play in round-robin tournaments. But when you do play in a tournament, that tournament has to have a certain amount of foreign players in it for it to qualify as a valid tournament for international titles. So I don't think, I'm not sure you actually have to play any more players from different countries. I think the tournament maybe itself just has to have a certain percentage of players from different countries in it. But, I mean, don't quote me on it. They're changing the rules constantly. Mystery for Scooby and the Chess Gang. But, no, it really is a weird mystery. If you start, there's even more details. Like, the guy's name isn't an acronym for another name. In the country where he lives, who's a kind of dubious character. So there's even some speculation that this guy might be like the same person with like 2 identities, and actually have like gone across the world and played as a fake identity or something. So it's really actually kind of a bizarre story. I'm going to break the story and publish it in Chess Chow when it comes back into publication in my next life. Chess Chow is an old magazine that was put together by Joe Benjamin and Mark Ginsburg. It was a funny, comedic chess magazine. Unfortunately, there's not enough not a big enough market for chess comedy. But if there was, that would be definitely the place I would publish it. The definitely place I would publish the story. Go for A5. Hopefully I'm hypnotizing geese with my chess stories. The plan has come to fruition. We're getting it in. And this looks good. What else can I do? Looks promising, suddenly. Double pawns aren't so bad. It's quite a long way to go for an IM norm. No, it's normal for people to travel. In those days, this was more or less 10 years ago, so it's pretty typical. I mean, I certainly did the same. I'm winning a piece. How long has this been possible, by the way? F5. Oh, I pre-moved. I thought it was your move. Anyway, I'm still winning. It's a good move anyway. I'm not winning a piece, but it's still good. No, Ran, it's totally normal. I mean, a lot of countries like didn't give you the possibility really of very many tournaments for international title norms. So even the United States didn't have enough qualifying tournaments. That's why I moved to Hungary. That's not suspicious in itself. It's suspicious that... Well, first of all, it's suspicious that FIDE even approved it. I mean, it was this random player who never played, and just suddenly he's like 2,500 strength out of nowhere. If anything like ever like doesn't get approved, it should have been this guy's title. But the mystery just got weirder and weirder the more I started exploring it. I have a theory that he's like... I have a theory that he may have played in like a national championship back in like 1967 with a different name. It's really bizarre. I have to contact the people from that country and see if anybody has some historical information on the national championship of said country in the late 60s. Because it would be kind of cool if you could break the story of a chess player, like having multiple identities and coming back 30 years later with like a different name. I think that's a cool story. You can make fun of it, but definitely better than your average chess news story. I had a lot of good moves in this game, but I'm kind of excited about my story. He's immortal like Highlander. That's going to a new level. You know, we might be able to get there. It is possible. He sure as hell played blitz very well for a guy who was like 70 years old when I was playing with him the most. So I had the feeling, yeah, it's like this player who was pretty strong at one point. But there's no doubt he bought his title arms. But now I'm more interested in the whole story of the guy. Like, is he this mystery player who played in like 1967 in a very famous tournament, disappeared and came back? Or maybe he's the same person with two identities. Maybe he really is two different people. I don't know. But, that makes sense. He really is two different people. Yeah, you're trying to trip me up here. Guys, we have time for at least 2 more games. If anybody missed their challenge or lost their challenge, let me know. I didn't see anybody complaining. Looks like Mood Dude, if he's not banned in the chat by then, and Andrea Peroni. King takes f3, rook d3 check, king g4. Highlanders are immune to Alzheimer's. Well, I don't think the guy has Alzheimer's, though he's gotten noticeably slower in the last years. He was very, very fast, even when he was supposed to be like 70 years old. But it seems like 80 really takes something out of him. That's how it appears. Geese, you're not really into resigning, are you? Now, do I really want to go there? King f3. Looks kind of apt, doesn't it? Yeah. Got the knight in the perfect position where it's like dominated by my king. Keep going. He's not resigning. Seriously? It's not rated. Don't worry. Not losing any points. So I lulled him to sleep. No stalemate. I lulled him to sleep with my exciting chess story. Alright, dude. GG, mood dude. Is he... You hope he's awake for the challenge? Yeah, if not, that's alright. We'll give him a shorter leash than usual. If Mood Dude isn't here in like 30 seconds, we're going to go with the next game. He might have gone to sleep on us. He said he had a hangover. He's been misbehaving in the chat. Well, the story isn't over yet. I mean, I just really begun my investigation last night. But every turn it gets weirder and weirder. We've got two names. And the other thing is this other weird guy who has a kind of dubious reputation. They're from the same country of origin. They both moved to the same new country. I think we're going to bail on Mood Dude. No, he's here, just as I was about to bail on him. Alright, let's play another Caro Khan. We had good luck with that today. The Sicilian is not good. Sorry, I was brushing my teeth. Got sick. Just make sure you get the ones in the back. I had this excuse once I was playing Mark Ginsburg. I was talking about Chess Chow earlier, but like unbelievably, I literally went to like floss my teeth. I had something stuck in my teeth or something, and I was playing Ginsburg online. He's a funny guy, and he was like, "Where were you?" You know, I was like, I let the clock run for like 2 minutes, and I said, "Oh, I was just flossing my teeth." He didn't believe me, but it was true. He's like, "Get the back ones. Don't forget." So this guy, story about the mystery I am, there's a second person who his name is like an acronym for, and this person is also weird because also immigrated to the same country from the same country of origin as this other guy did, and his name, you know, he's a more modern contemporary player, also with very few games. And his name actually, he was born in like, I don't know, the mid-60s, this younger version or whatever. And there's this one strong tournament where if you look in chessgames.com or some online database, you've got him playing in a tournament. The second identity I'm talking about now, the younger one, he's playing in a tournament where he would have been like 3 years old when he played, or 4 years old. So his name is also weird because it's got like it's got an older version of his name was a player apparently with the same exact name. So maybe it is a Highlander thing. I mean, so this other guy had multiple lives with the same name. There's something going on here that I've got to just figure out. I can't let it go until I've gotten to the bottom of this, because it's one of these weird stories that just gets weirder and weirder as you dig deeper into it. You just know there's something strange going on. So I'll keep the stream updated with my explorations, but unfortunately I have to keep all implicated individuals anonymous. We should make up anonymous John Doe names for the characters in the story. Mood Dude playing pretty well here. I think white is slightly better. B6. B6 looks solid, actually. Illuminati will be involved. Well, something's involved because something's not right. Besides the fact the guy just obviously, whoever he is, bought his I Am title. That's not my main focus anymore. Just getting to the bottom of the whole thing. You know, why would somebody even want to buy their I Am title if they're 70 years old and not even going to play anymore? You know, there's another question for you. It just doesn't really make any sense. I mean, why? You know, if it's like a young player who's in a hurry to improve, or a middle-aged guy who wants to like impress people or something, but why would a guy who's like a senior citizen suddenly decide to like go to like across the world and buy his I Am title randomly out of the blue, you know, when he doesn't even have any reason to like do it? I mean, it's totally weird. It just gets more and more bizarre. B6, you know, if he were like a chess teacher or something and he wanted to get the I Am title to impress people, or had a business coaching kids, or I don't know, you know, but this guy has no obvious reason to do it. It's so weird. Let's not discount the possibility of Nazi war criminals. Monkey suffrage, actually, you know, that kind of thing isn't at all out of the realm of possibility. I'll just leave it at that. The guy's age would actually... No, he would be too... No, he would have been too young. No, we got to throw away the Nazi war criminals thing. But, yeah, we're getting to the point where Nazi war criminals almost don't exist. Because they're just only like 3 of them left, and they're all 100 years old. No, it's not going to work. I thought for a second I was excited, but... Yeah, he's not old enough. He would need to be like 10 years older for that to be a possibility. But we could find something else. Something... Maybe he's just a criminal on the run. Just a general criminal. Yeah, he can't be a Nazi criminal with 80 years. He'd need to be a little older. Nope. It's not going to cut it. Mudu could have grabbed the pawn with knight takes d5 last move. Bishop takes d5, queen takes d5, rook takes e7. But black has like massive compensation if you do that. So I wouldn't recommend. He was a very naughty child. But there's a lot of reasons why people might want to hide their identity in history, I suppose. This rook on f8 isn't really in the game. But I like our structure, and I like the fact that his queen is exposed. Queen is on the wrong square, probably. Looks like it should be on d2. I'm not suggesting that's a good move now, Mood Dude, but you might have other issues. That looks like the square he would like to be at the moment. With the move as well. If you had queen d2 and the move, I think White would have a reasonable position, but as it stands now, probably not. So we can just take and play like bishop takes f3 and shatter his pawn structure, which should be enough for a slight advantage. I guess there are ways we could try for more. But this is a nice, lazy way to play. I think the most interesting variation of my story would be if the guy turns out to be like a fake person altogether, you know? Maybe the second person just made it up, like an alternate personality. That's kind of what I'm hoping for. The alternate personality theme. My first major investigation. If it works out, I can quit chess and become a private investigator, which sounds a lot cooler than playing chess. To add something to the conspiracy chess variant, there was this guy in a tan suit who was beating up all the hustlers in New York a few years ago. His identity was never revealed either. Wasn't me. When I go to New York and beat up the hustlers, they don't pay me. You gotta bring like a debt collector with you when you go to Washington Square Park. And pay after every game. Don't let anybody have any credit. White has to be careful of the long diagonal here. Guys, we've got time for definitely one more game. I promised Andrea Perrone. My Italian isn't good. It's not good. Non-existent. So, Andrea, I'm just hoping that I remotely pronounce your name correctly. White's kind of hanging on here. Hanging out and hanging on. Try to play with good knight against bad bishop. Queen c1. Controlling f4. I like my chances with the good knight against bad bishop and the messed up pawn structure for white. Maybe white can hold this, but it's not fun, and clearly a lot of weaknesses involved. These two in particular. Bishop on b3, not really a happy customer. Washington Square Park, guys. Well, it's been a long time since I played in New York. But the last time I was there, I did. That was a very long time ago. I mean, I've probably, like, in my life taken like 8 or 10 New York City chess trips. All of which are ancient history. But yeah, you like to go down from Boston and beat up on the New York hustlers. Knight h5, knight f4. Looking gruesome. It's not mate. It is not mate. First things first. Well, it's not mate. He has he has king f1, king e1, so I'm going to have to play... I'm probably going to have to play e5, which isn't that easy to win. But black is clearly almost winning. Alright, last game of the stream, guys. Did you take money off them? Well, they normally, you know, the chess hustlers don't really like to lose, so if you do take money off them, it won't go on for very long. You can try to set them up and pretend you're a weak player and maybe go a while before they figure out. You know, the more intelligent ones, if you throw some games in the beginning, even the smarter ones will pick up. But if you're really, really tricky about it, you can get, you know, keep it going on for a while before they figure out you're a good player. But you're not going to make a lot of money, no. And yeah, I tried it. It's just kind of frustrating. You've got to collect after every game, and usually they figure out you're a good player and won't play you anymore after a pretty short while. So it's not something I would recommend every title player do for a steady income, going to Washington Square and trying to hustle the hustlers. Once when I was in Boston, I first went to Boston around 1990. Maybe around 1990, Nigel Short came to the chess cafe there and played with the regular as an anonymous dude. Knight takes d4, I guess, here. I'm not hanging piece. Yesterday I had a really funny game with knight takes d4, queen a4 check, and it was knight takes e4, queen a4 check. Here it's knight takes d4. I think this is good for black. I mean, I'm just winning an important central pawn. Yeah, free trade agreement, I agree. I mean, well, some of them are I would feel more sorry for than others. But yeah, in general, no. I didn't. I just did it for fun. But most of them are good enough that, you know, if you want to beat them, you really have to play full strength. And if you do that, you're obviously, as I said, if you threw a few games in the early going, you could probably hustle them for maybe 20, 30 bucks before they figure out what's going on. One time I had a really long session with a guy that for some reason I thought was good for it, but he wasn't, and couldn't collect. He ended up stiffing me for like $100 or something. My bad judgment. Yeah, I don't think you should necessarily feel bad for them. I mean, they're not like homeless, usually. And they're hustling out of other people, so, I mean, there's more than one way to look at it, but there are different levels of hustlers, too. I mean, there's really dishonest ones that just scam people. Maybe they have a rigged clock. Very common. Nowadays, not as common, I guess, if people are using digital clocks, but in the old days with analog clocks, you really had to watch for the clock, the rigged clock trick. Probably the most common trap in Washington Square Park. Bishop b2. I guess I should get my bishop outside the structure. It's probably not a bad idea. And this pawn is overextended. We could just cash in on a second pawn. Feels almost too easy. Yeah, he has a little bit of compensation. Knight e5. Bishop takes e5. Bishop takes e5. Bishop b5 check. But actually, in that case, my king plays king f8. He doesn't really have anything. Yeah, you never heard of rigged clocks. You haven't lived. Well, I mean, you know, with digital clocks, it's got to be hard to do, but you could find maybe somebody who's like an expert with electronics could manipulate the digital clocks too. I don't see why that would be so hard to do. You would think actually in today's world it would be easy. And I'm not sure everyone has access to someone who can do something like that. You know, it wouldn't be much for the FBI to manipulate a digital chess clock. Actually, you're giving me a lot of good ideas. Can you imagine? I mean, you can't like make it too blatant in a tournament or something, but in blitz, I imagine it would be pretty easy to cheat people. Sometimes I try to move twice in a row. Yeah, that's my biggest scam. Queen a5 check. How long was this possibility in existence? Actually, just now, yeah. I feel bad because I kind of like gave him the idea of this line. I sort of take responsibility for Andrea to play bishop e5 check, king f8. I sort of suggested it. Oh man. Guys, this will be the last game for today. You guys beat up on me enough. 3 losses in early going. And I feel wounded. So I don't recall the last time it's gone like that. None of them were suspicious games, so there's no excuse. Like my opponent was using a computer. Just not in the greatest form today. I think I'm going to have to start waking up earlier and having like 2 cups of coffee for the next stream tomorrow. That will be the plan. So you can check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. If anybody's interested in lessons, please send me an email or a message here on Lichess. Lichess has started a coach feature which sort of profiles different players offering coaching on Lichess. So that's something else to take a look at. Filled out my coach profile. We are going to take this queen. I'm not a materialist. How did what even happen? Maurice Ashley got challenged by the angry stranger on the streets and destroyed him. Oh, this is a Maurice Ashley. Alright, it's made in 2. Thank you for the game, Andrea. Last game, that was the last one. So let's be back tomorrow. Yeah, if it doesn't work out and you guys beat me too bad, I'm going to have to start reverting back to being a street chess hustler. So take it easy on me next time. And keep the conspiracy theories alive. We'll see you next time. And if nothing else, the interesting conspiracy theories saved the stream today after my terrible, terrible defeats. So thank you for the games, guys. Thanks to Guitar Player for moderating in the chat and holding me to a draw when I was already in a bad mood. We'll see you later, guys. Bye-bye.